That's what trains do. Take people places. Like every small town in the West, there's a burger joint and homes with gingerbread trim. The Northwest is apple orchard country, and the railroad plays a big role in carrying apples from the orchards in Washington State to markets all over the country. This is the Cascadia Apple Terminal. After the apples are picked and crated, they are taken to the terminal, where they are loaded into refrigerated boxcars called reefers and taken to market. These reefers are often coupled to the back of passenger trains because they must travel quickly so the apples arrive fresh. We receive lots of containers from the Far East, but we also ship products back to the Far East. Like tractors. Here's a long freight train carrying green and yellow John Deere tractors from the John Deere plant in Iowa. The tractors are being taken to the Port of Seattle, where they will be loaded onto a big freighter and delivered to China. At the Burlington Northern Santa Fe headquarters, traffic operators keep track of all the containers. Each container has an ID number indicating its contents and destination. When the containers reach the intermodal yard, the crane operator enters the ID number into the BNSF's database, and up pops all the data he needs to deliver the container. You see lots of diesels and freight cars every day. But do you know their names? We'll name a few you have seen on this exhibit. Amtrak P42DC, also known as the Genesis. SD 40-2. Decorated in the old Santa Fe freight scheme. Amtrak F40PH. BNSF-840BW. Decorated in the classic Santa Fe war bonnet scheme. This paint scheme is a tribute to the famous Santa Fe passenger trains that carried passengers between Los Angeles and Chicago in the 1940s and 50s. Another famous train is the Burlington Pioneer Zephyr. It broke speed records in the late 1930s. You can see it next time you visit the museum, because the real Pioneer Zephyr is on display. As we get closer to the city, we pass Bungalow Square, a neighborhood filled with 2- and 3-flat apartment buildings, shops, little restaurants, a meatpacking house, and of course, the Chicago Bungalow, a uniquely styled single-family dwelling found all over the city. All the buildings on the layout were modeled after real buildings. It is neighborhoods like these that gave Chicago its flavor and character. The Hobby Mecca train shop has a great location, right next to a CTA elevated Green Line stop west of the Loop. CTA stands for Chicago Transit Authority. Downtown Chicago is called the Loop because the L tracks form a loop around the main downtown area. The Loop is formed by Lake Street on the north, Wabash Avenue on the east, Van Buren Street on the south, and Wells Street on the west. The CTA also runs underground. It's called the subway. This is the Red Line stop at Chicago and State Street. Toddlers love this scene because it's at their eye level. Every big city needs commuter trains to bring folks who live in the suburbs into the city. Chicago has Metra, which stands for Metropolitan Rail. It services both the north and western areas of Chicago. Meanwhile, at Chicago's Union Station, Amtrak train number 8, also named the Empire Builder, is headed west to Seattle. Each Amtrak train is assigned a number. The numbers are not arbitrary. Westbound trains are assigned odd numbers, and eastbound trains even numbers. So when the Empire Builder number 7 arrives in Seattle, its number changes to 8 for the return trip east to Chicago. The railroad started this system years ago. Let's talk a little about Chicago's Union Station. It was built in 1913 to support the growing number of people traveling by rail. In its heyday, just before and just after World War II, 4 different railroads used Union Station. It was Chicago's only crossroads depot. Travelers would arrive by train and catch another train destined for other parts of the country without ever having to leave the station. In the early 20th century, railroads were rapidly expanding, and Chicago quickly became the rail hub of the nation. Travelers from all over the country met in Chicago to buy, sell, sightsee, and have fun. Grains, manufactured goods, and livestock were shipped in and out on rails. Because of Chicago's access to the Great Lakes, goods were transferred from rail to ships for overseas trade. After the Great Chicago Fire in 1871, trains delivered the lumber and supplies that were needed to rebuild Chicago. Chicago held 2 World's Fairs and the 1948 Railroad Fair, which brought millions of visitors by rail. Chicago and the railroads continue their long-standing partnership today as both products and people move in and out of the city on a vast, modern network of rail lines. We have seen how useful trains are, but always remember, trains are also dangerous. Always obey the safety rules. Never cross the tracks except in designated areas. You can't always see if a train is coming. Many commuter and city trains run on electricity, so you never walk on or even touch the tracks. Always follow the safety signs and the conductor's directions. Trains move fast and doors open and close quickly, so you must pay attention. Kids love to follow one train all around the layout, and they can. That's the way we designed it. Everybody loves it. From the day we opened, the reaction has been wildly enthusiastic. We have a great location right near our main entrance. People notice it right away. They see it's big. They see the spectacular Chicago skyline. And there's lots of moving trains. The whole thing is just irresistible.
Hi everybody, I'm Tom Snyder and welcome to Lionel Train's 100th anniversary. Let's go back to the beginning, to a loft at 24 Murray Street.
The growth of the company, the great job that Joshua Lionel Cowan did starting in 1900, the development of the Lionel Trains, the hobby, the marketing, the promotion of it. He was a master at all of that. He was a great innovator. I think Lionel has always been an innovator down through the years. They've done some great stuff.
It's still such a mystery how that old Lionel brings out the kid in me. My Lionel train, my Lionel train. My Lionel train, my Lionel train. One day, many years ago, I remember my first toy train. carefully, and I knew Lionel was staring up at me. My Lionel train, my Lionel train, yeah. My Lionel train, my Lionel train.
What do Frank Sinatra, Tom Snyder, and Mandy Patinkin have in common? They are all featured in TM's new Celebrity Train Layout series.